Good morning, retail leaders of 2018. Thank you, Jess and Lisa, for the introduction, and welcome to the conference. I'm Frank Leo, Managing Director at Kurt Salman, a part of Accenture Strategy, where we help global retailers and brands set and operationalize their strategies across merchandise planning, product development, and omnichannel. It is my pleasure to introduce our opening keynote speaker. We are excited to have with us today the Chief Operating Officer of KOHL'S, Sona Chawla. Sona Chawla is responsible for KOHL'S full omni-channel operations. She oversees all store operations, logistics and supply chain network, information and digital technology, e-commerce strategy, and planning and operations. Chawla joined KOHL'S in 2015. Prior to joining KOHL'S, she spent 7 years with Walgreens in a variety of senior leadership roles, including President of E-commerce. Please join me in welcoming Sona Chawla.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Great. I'm happy to see a very full house. I figured after the festivities yesterday, it might not be quite as full, but good to see everyone here. And I am excited to talk to you today about what else? The renewal of retail. What else is on everyone's mind? Three things I wanted to cover today. One was very simply, we all know that retail is changing, but what I really want to focus on is a more optimistic view that retail is being renewed and rebirthed, if you will. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that, of course, part of this rebirth is through technology, data, and analytics, and we have unprecedented power today with all that's going on with data, insights, and analytics and technology. So obviously, that's what's leading this renewal. But it's not just about that. So the third thing I wanted to talk about today was really our story, the KOHL'S story. Because every company is writing its story a little bit differently during this time of renewal, and our story is different too. So I wanted to really share our story with you, our past, our present, and our future. So starting with the past, and we go back all the way to 1962 when KOHL'S was founded. And I haven't been at KOHL'S that long. I've been at KOHL'S for 2 years. But as a newbie at KOHL'S, I got interested in where KOHL'S came from and went back and did a little digging. And these three guys that you see up there were the founding fathers of KOHL'S. So that's Bill Kellogg, the CEO, John Herma, and Jay Baker. And they started KOHL'S with a unique concept, Wisconsin-based company, humble origins. They found this niche, and I'll talk a little bit about this niche. But what I really wanted to highlight here was the fact that I came across this in a news article about Bill Kellogg, that he had a very keen sense of right and wrong, which I thought was amazing because that's how I think about KOHL'S. It's a company that has a very keen sense of right and wrong and a very intuitive understanding of its customer, of its customer, what its customer wants and what its customer doesn't want. And this was what the KOHL'S model was really built upon. And that model was very disruptive at the time to other major department stores. And that model was really built around something called brands, value, and convenience. And it was simply this, that the niche that these three found was the fact that they could serve the suburban mom in a way that no one else was doing as a moderate department store, offering reasonable products at reasonable prices in a convenient, accessible format, mostly off-mall, and in a format that incorporated a grocery-like racetrack that was ultra convenient. And that really was that niche that the founders found that sustained KOHL'S for a long time. And they ferociously guarded this niche. So if they ever deviated, if they tested, of course they tested and they evolved and they iterated upon this model. But if they ever found that it didn't resonate with the customer, they retreated and they adjusted. And this was what was the power and magic of KOHL'S. And the KOHL'S team really were the very best operators in the industry, and I'd say that today as well. This team really knows how to execute. And that's what really led to a period of tremendous growth. So just to give you a sense of scale, in 1999, when the company had about 76 stores and grew all the way to today, 1,100 plus stores, so that are nationwide, so a great period of growth, about $19 billion in sales. And a great stat that I wanted to share with you is about 80% of Americans live within 15 miles of a KOHL'S store, so great reach. As the times changed, of course, KOHL'S has evolved and grown. So since 2011, after all that period of growth, growth stagnated. And this was happening for a lot of the other brick and mortar retailers as well, because of the advent of e-commerce and off-price. So, of course, what did we do? We adjusted as well, and we started our renewal. And a lot was being written, so fast forward to 2015 and 2016, and a lot was being written about the death of retail, right? You guys have all read about it, the great retail apocalypse. Retail is dead. And all the while, we've been quietly working on our renewal. And what you see up there, what I wanted to share with you, is something our CEO shared earlier this year in January. And this shows our comp sales growth through last year. And as you can see, we started the year a little negative, and then we got sequentially better. And then what we announced in January was our November-December results, where we really saw a significant acceleration in our results. And the reason for this renewal and our belief, what I wanted to share with you, is because we've had a strong belief that physical stores matter. And we've always held on to that belief. That's our core. And then also two other key principles that we call our company priorities. So two key priorities for us, and that is driving traffic and being operationally excellent. Now, these are two simple priorities, but if you think about it, driving traffic is all about demand generation, right? And that's things like your products, marketing, value, pricing. And operational excellence is all about how you fulfill demand, which this audience is intimately familiar with. And more, we used to focus on the driving traffic part, but now we believe that being operationally excellent is equally, if not more important. And it is about being efficient, and that efficiency is a key differentiator for retailers today. And this is because we do believe, and I found this great quote in a Goldman Sachs article that I was reading, and I thought it really nailed what we were thinking about, is that the retailer of the future will likely be a retailer of the past, just the most efficient version they're in. So this ties back to our strategy. We do believe the retailer of the future will be a retailer of the past with brick and mortar stores. But it's really efficiency that's going to drive a lot of the differentiation that you see in this industry. And efficiency in almost every aspect of our operations. Because the challenge with traditional retailing is it's not efficient, at least retailers of the past. And I have a little graphic here to show you. I call it the too much and too little problem. Now, by the way, these are not our stores. And I'm not going to tell you whose stores they are. They're well disguised. And the truth is, we've all been in stores like this, right? We've all seen stores like this. Our own stores have been like this at points in time where we have too much inventory and too little inventory, or too little inventory. It's the Goldilocks problem. And the problem is that sort of in a picture summarizes the challenge with retail, is it's hard to get things just right. Getting the right product in the right place at the right time. And you all know this. And getting unlocking this is really the key to unlocking the renewal of retail. And what customers want today is they want efficiency. Customers are demanding efficiency, and you probably are going to hear a lot about what customers want, but I'll summarize it in 3 ways on this slide. And what they really want first is instant gratification. They have no patience. If they see a product now, they want to buy it now, and they want to get it now. And what is really happening is the customer funnel, as we know it, used to be very linear, very sequential, is all getting squished, if squished is a word. It's getting accelerated. And again, retailers have to respond to that. Customers want to shop both in physical stores and digital. So I'm sure no one here really believes that the only way you want to shop is e-commerce, though that's been a great way to shop. But we do believe that customers want to shop in physical stores, but the physical experience hasn't quite been where it should be, as I just described. And the last thing that customers want is they want everything to be smart. Now, they don't actually say that, but they expect that more and more, because there is so much choice and so much presented to them is they just want to see what's relevant. They want to take away all the noise. So because of this inefficiency was why e-commerce ate physical retail, or at least ate chunks of physical retail. And again, our belief has been that customers do want to shop in stores. They want e-commerce as well. So it's the combination of the two that's really going to matter. And that's how we focused our entire strategies. So we chose to fight back with our stores. You've heard us talk a lot in the past year about our stores, investing in our stores. And the way we've done this is we've really thought about how digital and stores go together. So we have taken all the great assets that we have, our loyalty program, our value, and we've incorporated all of that into our mobile app. And our mobile app is an incredible tool with the mobile wallet and is one of the top shopping apps out there. We extended the e-commerce assortment online, and we gave access to that assortment in our stores through our endless aisles. We allowed customers to buy online and pick up in store. And we created store utilities and tools that really clarified the customer experience within the store through the app using things like KOHL'S Pay and our wallet. So again, if you think about it, what we're doing here is we're taking that original brand's value, convenience, value proposition and completely redoing it, but with the same tenets in mind and using digital. And this has been successful for us because we have, as I'd like to say, we're taking our fair share of digital with the help of our stores. And as you can see, this is your proverbial hockey stick in terms of digital growth for us. In 2011, e-commerce was about 5% of our total company sales. And in 2017 will be 19%. So tremendous growth. Now you might want to ask me as well, that's great, but are you getting anyone in your stores now? And yes. Most of these digital transactions touch the store in some fashion in all the ways that we've integrated with the stores. And what's really interesting is that 90% of our customers still shop in our stores. They shop stores and they shop online. We have very few customers that are pure digital. And in fact, the value of an omni-channel customer for us is significantly greater than a store-only customer or a digital-only customer. Several multiples greater, which is why it makes sense to go this way, but understanding that the store is still very much key part and focus of this entire ecosystem. So this growth has been tremendous, but the growth did come at a cost, and I'm sure you spend many, many of your sessions here at RILA talking about this. What has happened is in order to serve this customer, we have changed the delivery path to customers. And in the good old days, which aren't that distant in the past, it used to be taking goods from factories and moving them into warehouses and distribution centers and then moving them to stores. So moving large quantities through the supply chain. And that was the traditional path. And what I've just described to you has been changing the delivery path to customers and weaving new paths. So buy online, pick up in store, ship from store, buy online, ship to store, ship direct from vendor to store. All of these are new paths. And what that has done, while it's created a lot of choices for our customers, it's fundamentally flipped the model. Now we have a hybrid model. Not only do we do what we did before, but now we also have to accommodate for multiple small packages, small quantities of goods moving faster through the supply chain. And depending on the path chosen, the cost could be 5x plus the traditional path. But it's worth it. I'm here to tell you that it's worth it to serve that omni-channel customer because their value is greater, because they do shop more, and because it also attracts new customers to the brand. So the way to really thrive, and this is what we've done during this part of our story, is really think of being very efficient. So it really comes back to efficiency. And what we did is we started off with our core asset, our stores. And our stores became mini fulfillment centers. And I don't think any of you who are sitting in this audience naturally thought that a store could be a fulfillment center. After all, that's not what a store was meant to do. A store was meant to be a showroom. It wasn't meant to be a fulfillment center. So what we had to do is we had to invest in stores. We had to invest in making them efficient and to fulfill online demand. And I wanted to share a few stats with you. Because of the investments that we made, and the kinds of investments we did was in store infrastructure, so things like improving our Wi-Fi capabilities, very important, but very basic, but very important. Giving stores devices, tools, equipment, giving them apps, and giving them training to actually do this job. And most recently, our stores fulfilled 32% of our online demand. And during the holiday, it was even greater. And one stat that's pretty staggering is on Cyber Monday, when we see the peak of digital demand, stores fulfill 3 times that of an e-commerce fulfillment center, which is pretty staggering to think for that day, we could get away with not having 3 extra e-commerce fulfillment centers. And the other benefit that we get from this is that stores are faster because they are distributed. Remember that stat about 80% of Americans living within 15 miles of a KOHL'S? They are faster, about 25% faster in terms from order to delivery. And having them part of our network, we're able to balance the speed that customers want along with the cost. So we're not just investing in our stores, because that wouldn't be enough as an omni-channel retailer. We're also embracing automation, because another way to very effectively fulfill is, of course, through our fulfillment centers. And last year, we brought up a whole new generation of e-commerce fulfillment center just in time for the holiday. And it was fully automated with goods-to-man technology. And what we've gotten from this is, of course, more volume, faster fulfillment, more productivity. And again, going back to getting to that customer faster and faster. So our newest e-commerce fulfillment center is about 2 to 3x at its peak productivity of the previous generation fulfillment centers. So again, stores plus fulfillment centers are critical to this ecosystem that we're building. And then, it's not enough to just do that, of course. We have to think of the whole network, because now we have a vast network. And if we didn't control this network, then we would see escalation in cost. So what we have to do is we have to use intelligence to optimize the network. And what we're doing now is we are getting better and better at this. We used to be very rules-based, but now the complexity of managing so many nodes has led us to use machine learning and operational data, big data. I hate to use that buzzword, but it is what it is, to kind of take those two together and to use that to really efficiently source orders. So when an online order comes, we figure out the best way, real time, in terms of where to send it. And that data is getting updated real time, quickly, over and over again. And what that lets us do is, I love this word, what that lets us do is do a lot of micro efficiencies. So imagine on millions and millions of little decisions, we are making good decisions, better decisions, and all of those micro efficiencies land up to a big savings number. So again, the focus here is to keep getting better and better, to keep adding more and more data so that our network is fully optimized so that we can balance those twin goals of lowering cost and having faster delivery. And what we're also doing is now on the customer-facing side is we are providing relevant options for our customers. So using the same algorithms, same kind of algorithms, we're able to give our customers broader assortment. So for buy online, pick up in store, we are showing them more stock, more choices, again, using machine learning and using safety stock algorithms. Plus, we just recently launched a Smart Cart initiative, and what that does is if a customer is shopping online with us and they place an item in the cart, and if we realize that that item is available in a local store, so instead of shipping it to her, we'll offer her an incentive to actually pick up that item in the local store through buy online, pick up in store. So again, this is a win-win for the customer and for us. And it's a small example of how we can use intelligence to really scale and be efficient in a way that we've never been able to do before. And it's this beautiful marriage of a great network design and intelligence coming together for the benefit of a company and for our customers. So I put this picture up in front of you, and you're probably wondering what it is. The reason I put this up is because I talked a lot about technology, and I talked a lot about data, insights, and analytics, but I really think the big differentiation is people. And what happens is putting all these capabilities together really makes us think differently, because now data that used to be in one part of the organization is not flowing, has to flow to different parts of the organization. And in the good old days, data used to live in its silo. And this picture is from an old fable, which talks about how various people who touched different parts of an elephant were not quite able to tell that it was an elephant. So depending on what part you touched, you thought it was a fan, you thought it was a wall, you thought it was a tree, you thought it was a rope or a snake. And really what we want is for people to be working together collaboratively and really putting the big picture together. So if every part of the organization just optimized what they were doing and they put the picture together, this is what they would get. They would not get an elephant. But if you wanted them to get an elephant, you have to get them to work together and connect the dots. And that's the true differentiator. So what we've also done with all this technology that we have provided our teams is we've brought our teams together to work together and to really understand how to connect the dots. And for this example, I call it silo besting in the most agile way. So our technology is not a black box. People are looking at data and evaluating it all the time and connecting the dots. And we've got virtually every group within the organization represented here that optimize this fulfillment network on a daily basis. And during holiday, this team came together and kept us on track, making adjustments and trade-offs, and really just understanding the full big picture as opposed to just optimizing for what they did. And that always leads to great results. So that gets me into the future. Where does this go? What is the future of retail and supply chain? And again, this is a lot of what you're going to be hearing at the conference. But the future of retail and the supply chain, to me, is not the way it used to be, which, again, used to be very, I call it the 3 S's, siloed, slow, and I forgot the 3rd S, but it's around slow. And what we need to do is really think about how to connect and bring things together, not optimize within each silo, but really connect pieces together. So the new world looks a lot more like this, where things are interconnected, where you have the ability for every node to really sense and heal itself and learn and eventually get to be faster, better, cheaper. And again, there's a lot of technology out there that helps enable this. You guys are talking a lot about this. We're testing a lot of these technologies with RFID, machine learning, blockchain even, and robotics. But at the end of the day, it really isn't about just a technology story. It's about how we bring this together to solve the ultimate retail problem, which is getting the right product in the right place at the right time. And new technologies are always going to come, and that journey will continue to go on and on. But essentially, the future is about people working together to make this happen. And I think that's when magic happens. That's when companies can embrace technology, not make it a black box, and really push the boundaries in terms of how to be even more efficient. So now, let's talk a little bit about stores. So that's everything leading up to the store, getting products to the store. Where is the future of the store going? And I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing here. The store is changing as well, and we have a big belief that the future of the store is going to be really way back the way it used to be in good old days, which is your local neighborhood store, mom and pop shop, where when people walked in, the shop owner would know them and would know everything about them. And technology can help us go back there, but it's not going to be a big bang change. So we believe that your store is really the way the future will be, where people will feel like it's your store, and the store associates will feel like it's their store. So we're testing our way into this, and what we have is a number of stores that we've marked as learning labs. And our hope is that these learning labs will be highly localized. We'll test the edges in terms of bringing technology, data, and insights, along with the power of people, to really serve customers in a whole different way. And we have several things that we're focusing on here. So, the three things that we're focusing on in terms of evolving the store is making experiences frictionless. And what that means is that getting to the key things that customers find issues with in physical stores. And what is it? It's finding things, it's checking out, it's returning items, and it's picking up items and not having to wait in line. So we have a whole host of tests that we're looking at that is taking friction out of the customer experience. And again, it's not a big bang technology approach. It really is taking little changes and making these changes and getting to understand how customer behavior is changing and iterating and evolving across that. The second big focus area is really building operations that are really responsive to the customer. So again, what this could mean is that instead of having a flat staffing model, it's understanding, using data and insights, how we could localize hours in a store, how we could localize the time spent that an associate should spend on tasks versus spending time with customers, and equipping our associates with the kinds of tools and technologies that will help them do this better. So again, the whole goal of your store is to really build a very responsive model to customers. And then finally, the most important concept is treating store managers as the CEO of their stores. So very important here because the store manager and the store team is closest to customers. So how can we give them the data, the insights that they need to really be successful? And how can we harness the power of 1,100 plus stores to really get to the customer and give them the kind of best practices that are happening, and even predicting what they should be doing in the store using this vast treasure trove of data. So again, those three themes, frictionless experiences, customer responsive operations, and the store manager as CEO, is really what we're looking at. And what I wanted to share with you next is a video just so for you to hear from our store managers themselves, what they've experienced through this pilot that we're doing, and how they're thinking about this concept that we're calling Your Store.
We're here for one reason, and it's to drive sales. That's what Your Store is all about.
Your Store is really a learning lab where we introduce new concepts and applications.
The Your Store program is really dialing into these stores on a much smaller scale than we normally test programs.
We're finding out pretty early in whether things are working or not and providing the feedback necessary to say yay or nay.
It will allow the store manager to make the decisions to tailor their store to what makes sense for their business.
We have a new manager insight dashboard. It's a much better tool for us to really look at our business and address the needs of the business on a daily basis.
I think our customers would like to be able to have an in-store experience along with an omni experience. They should have the options and make their shopping frictionless.
It's really trying to evolve Kohl's as a destination that offers the best possible technology out there. It simplifies the transaction, it simplifies the customer experience.
Not only do we have to train our associates to be digitally savvy, but we have to do the same with our customer.
We're making quick decisions, quick changes, really testing our flexibility and agility.
It kind of gives us an edge up on our competition and definitely keeps us more relevant in the retail world.
Kohl's future, we're going to bring the customers back. They're going to want to come back.
So I always love to hear from our store managers, and I think, what I hope you just saw is what really is so differentiating about us. It's really the people, and you can see their excitement as they embrace these new technologies and as they actually give us feedback in building the future of the store, because it is really going to be their store. So with that, I wanted to highlight some of the key points in our story to renewing retail. And the very first point is really write your story. There's a lot of stories, like I said earlier, that are being written about retail, and some of them are not great. But if you own your story, if you're true to who you are, and you write that story in a way that's unique to you, unique to your core, you will save yourself the challenge of having the story being written for you. So really important that you envision the future and you see your role in it and step into it boldly. The second key, which really is what silo busting is all about, is train your organization to think both vertically and horizontally. And what I mean by this is that it's really important to be very deep in knowledge, very deep in a domain, but it's also important to know how to connect the dots across the organization. And as we think about agility, this is a key differentiator to get the organization to embrace what you're doing, is when someone looks at their neighbor and says, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Well, I can piece together and make an elephant, not a Frankenstein. So again, that concept of thinking vertically and horizontally is essential. And then the third very key part is investing. We have invested, and we've invested very heavily in both our people and in our technology. So I would say really invest in technology and in people and believe in people. And that's what's going to make this retail renewal come to life. So with that, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the conference.